In 1911, Qing dynasty was overthrown by the Republic of China. However, Emperor Puyi and his imperial family were still allowed to remain his titles and live in the Forbidden City. The Republic of China also promised to give the imperial family 400,000 hills of silver every year, but in fact, the money was never fully paid. At the same time, the expense in the palace was enormous to maintain the luxurious life of the royal family and to pay for the salaries of thousands of eunuchs and ladies-in-waiting. Therefore, to cover the expense, Puyi began to sell the treasures from the Forbidden City. With the endorsement from Puyi, the officials brought the valuable items out of the palace and sold them to the antique shops. But clearly, it was not a permanent solution. In 1922, the imperial family was almost broke and did not have enough money to finance Puyi's wedding. Puyi proposed to sell the book Imperial Collection of 4 to Japan to make the money. It was the largest collection of books in China, so the proposal received strong opposition from the people, especially from the scholars. Some even demanded to abolish the imperial system. Puyi finally compromised and decided to mortgage another item to borrow money from the bank. After that, Puyi realized the threat to the imperial system and to his position. He started to plan for the future by accumulating more wealth. He began to transfer the valuable items out of the Forbidden City. To achieve that, he gifted his brothers the treasures so that his brothers could help him bring the items out of the palace. Every morning, his brothers came to the palace to study with Puyi. During this time, they secretly transferred many valuable ancient books out of the palace. Because the size of these ancient books was similar as that of their textbooks, their behavior didn't look suspicious and didn't draw anyone's attention. Initially, they did it a few times a week, and each time they carried under 10 items. Later, when they had more confidence, they also transferred many other items like the calligraphy, paintings, jewels, seals, etc. Within several years, they managed to transfer hundreds of boxes of treasures. According to the list of gifts in 1922, from July to December, Puyi gifted his brother Pujie 76 times, including 210 books, 1,300 paintings, 14 leather goods, and many more that were not recorded. This included the famous painting Goddess Love Rhapsody, which depicted the love story between goddess and human, and Bu Nian Tu, which depicted how the emperor received the envoy from Tibet during Tang Dynasty. In 1923, because Puyi had no idea of how many treasures were left in the palace, he decided to have a stock taking. In fact, there was uncountable numbers of treasures in the palace because Emperor Qianlong had collected many paintings, calligraphies, and jewels during his reign. Those items were mainly stored in the Palace of Established Happiness. The palace area was large. It contained many buildings. Each building was filled with boxes of different treasures. Many of them were even unopened. Soon after Puyi's order to stop taking, a huge fire occurred in that palace. Because of the lack of water, the firemen were not able to put out the fire immediately. It lasted for the whole night and was finally put out in the next day's afternoon. The fire was so huge that it burned many of the valuable treasures. Legend said it destroyed over 2,000 pieces of gold Buddha statue, 10,000 of books, and thousands of calligraphies and paintings. The actual number was unmeasurable. It was a huge loss to the country. Many suspected that the fire did not happen accidentally, but it was intentionally created by a group of eunuchs who had stolen this treasure before and wanted to destroy all the evidence before stock taking. After the fire, Puyi was furious. He decided to dismiss thousands of eunuchs and only left a few of them to take care of the family. In 1924, the warlord Wenxiu seized the control of Beijing and banished Puyi and the imperial family out of the palace. Puyi was only given 3 hours to pack his luggage. In the last moment, he attempted to bring his favorite calligraphy with him, the timely clearing after snowball created by Wanrong in Qing dynasty. But when he opened the luggage for close inspection, it was discovered by the warlord and it was confiscated. After being exiled, Puyi moved to Tianjin with the many expensive treasures that he transferred out of the palace. He later settled in the quiet garden villa with his family. The family continued to live luxuriously by mortgaging the treasures to the bank to borrow money to pay for their regular expenses. In 1923, Puyi mortgaged 80 pieces of golden artifacts to a bank. In the next year, he mortgaged 13 pieces of imperial seals from the previous empress and imperial noble consorts, and over 500 pieces of expensive jewels. Later, in 1931, in the hope of restoring the Qing dynasty, Puyi accepted an offer from Japan to head the puppet state of Manchukuo in Manchuria. When Puyi visited Japan, he also brought the treasures with him. At that time, Puyi still had over 1,000 calligraphies and paintings, 200 ancient books, and many jewels and gold. In 1945, Japan lost the war. During Soviet invasion, Puyi attempted to flee from Manchukuo in a rush, so that he was only able to carry part of the treasures with him. But finally, he was captured by the Soviet. To please the Soviet, Puyi proposed to donate his remaining treasures to them. But the Soviet did not take the offer, and instead they sent Puyi and his treasures back to China in 1949. It included the famous painting River of Wisdom. When Puyi was back to China, there was only 468 pieces of treasures left, including the valuable imperial seal from Emperor Qianlong. Later, some of the sold treasures were also given back to China, but many of them were still in foreign countries or even still not found anywhere.